So, welcome everybody to our April Lunch and Learn here at the Kids Book Bank. We are here with our library partners. That is Cleveland Public Library, Cuyahoga County Public Library, as well as our friends from Cleveland Metropolitan School District, here to talk a little bit about our partnerships. And I would love to turn it over to them to introduce themselves. We'll start with Jacqueline Lamb of Cleveland Public Library.
Good morning, or is morning? Oh, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Lamb, and I'm so proud to serve as the Senior Director of Youth Services and Family Engagement for the Cleveland Public Library. I love this work. I love the team that I'm blessed to work with. I have spent some time at CMSD in the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I've spent some time in the New York City Department of Education in the Office of Family and Community Empowerment. And now I am excited to help lead this work at CPL. And then I will turn it over, if that's okay, to my partner, Walter Bullock Jr.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Walter Bullock Jr. I work as the Youth Services and Family Engagement Manager under Jacqueline Lamb. I come to Cleveland Public Library as of July of last year, but formerly being an educator for the last 15 years in the Boston Public School System, as well as CMSD and Breakthrough Schools. I'm happy to be here with you all this morning.
Welcome, welcome. And
Thank you.
Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Katie Lang, and I am the Donor Relations Coordinator at the Cuyahoga County Public Library. And I am also the chair of the Cleveland Kids Book Bank Associate Board. Fun fact, I've actually been volunteering with the book bank longer than I've been working at the library. I've been volunteering since 2019 and working at the library since 2023.
That's awesome. We love having you. And Rhonda, you want to introduce yourself?
Morning. I'm Rhonda McBride. I'm a library media specialist with Cleveland Schools. I have been for 26 years, 30 in the district, 26 in libraries. Most of that time was spent as a special. Um, and it is a changing model that has, challenged everybody who had been doing it for a long time, but I'm happy to be here.
We love having you. And we also have some staff on the call. I'll let Leslie and Mahogany introduce themselves. And if everyone, including our partners on the call today, want to use our chat function again to ask any questions during our presentation, as well as post your favorite children's book and or the book that you would say is a must read if it's not a children's book. So we just want to hear from you there, and you can use the chat while Leslie and Mahogany introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Fitzsimmons. I'm the communications manager at the Kids Book Bank, and we are celebrating 10 years this year. And I too am celebrating 10 years with the book bank. I started as a volunteer and have done various jobs through the years, and I'm really happy to be here and see all of you.
Mahogany?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mahogany Graves. I am the outreach coordinator here at the Kids Book Bank. I've been here since July of last year. I love it. I've always been a partner of the Kids Book Bank, so happy to join as staff and just happy to be here and partner with you all.
Thank you. And in honor of National Library Month, we want to hear from our partners around what their favorite partnership activity has been with the Kids Bank. Like Leslie said, we've been doing this for 10 years, and I know our library partners have been with us for a lot of those years. So some might be new programs, or you might want to dig back in the archives and talk about a program that started a long time ago and might still exist. So Cleveland Public Library, want to take that one on?
Yeah, and then Walter, feel free to jump in. So I think what you all are doing, or what we are doing together with the On the Road to Reading van, has been really, really helpful. Our van goes out to schools. It's a beautiful van, and it's led by Isabel, Rue, and Maggie. They're super awesome. And so what they do is this van goes out to the public and go into daycare centers and preschool providers and schools like CMSD. I'm sure Ms. McBride has seen or have definitely heard about the On the Road to Reading Ban. But the great thing about it is that we give scholars and their families materials, literacy materials, not only just from the library, but from the Kids Book Bank. We have been able to supply families with books out in the community, whether that is with the city of Cleveland, working in their parks and recreations over the summer, or again, working with school settings. We have been able, or going to community partnership events, we've been able to provide resources. And a lot of those resources come from the Kids Book Bank. And, it's a great partnership. I used to be on the board of the Kids Book Bank, so I know firsthand the amount of work it takes for our volunteers to be able to push out the materials. But it's needed for our community. And even though we're a library that, want to uplift our circulation numbers, we have to uplift youth circulation numbers. They are low. But we know that that can't be the only way for them to come into the library and receive materials. We have to meet them where they are, and the Kids Book Bank has been able to help us do that work.
Yeah, and
Yes.
just to second that, the outreach that you all help provide. When I first started in July, we had like an opportunity to do outreach. And so I'm like, well, what do we do? What do we have to give? And Jackie was like, here's what you do. Kids, kids book bank. And so I'm
Wow.
like, oh, this is incredible. I didn't even know, that you all existed. But so anything that we've done, community facing, where we're not able to get kids to check out books, we absolutely are making sure we're utilizing the resources from Kids Book Bank to help families and kids build their own home libraries.
Yes, it's a big piece of the puzzle, right? So it's not just having the circulation, which everyone asks, how do you partner with your libraries? And we promote circulation as well. There's always new books, and our libraries have so much to offer. And then getting books in the home that they can keep is where we can help our libraries, because kids read more than one book, or we hope they do, right? Katie, you want to talk a little bit about partnerships with Cuyahoga County?
Yeah, one of my favorite partnerships has been the partnership with our mobile produce distributions. The book bank would prepare bags of books that families could take home with them while they were coming to get their grocery supply for the month from the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And that was a really great example of a partnership in the community, not just about literacy, but also about serving the basic needs of our community and meeting people where they're at. I think that's a really important thing that the book bank is able to do, is to get into the places where people are already utilizing community services and have demonstrated that need. And personally, my favorite activities volunteering with the book bank are the ones where we get to hand out the books directly to the kids, because you really get to see the impact that you're making in real time, and just the joy that it brings to a kid when they get to pick out a book that is interesting to them. And then when they find out that they get to take that home and they don't have to bring it back, it's just a really joyful moment that I love.
Love that. Love that. And Rhonda.
I have to say my favorites personally were the visits from the Cavs book bus. I was able to cover for a colleague at Elmira School, and then more recently, I was at Dyke School of the Arts, which is one of my schools. And it's just such a low lift for the classroom teachers, but huge impact. Like the volunteers are friendly, the kids literally run to the bus with their bag. And like she said, the choice, the picking what they wanted to go home and keep. And are you sure it's mine? Can I write my name in it? Like that, it's just a huge impact. And I reached out to my colleagues just because the buildings are so diverse, and people have had like a hot chocolate party at Christmas and we're able to give a gift, and and the gift of a book, and like a reading train. We've had ESL books that we're able to, and it just gives us the opportunity to hand a book that they can keep when we wouldn't be able to do that otherwise.
Right. And I don't know about the four of you, but do you find that people go, well, do kids still read? Do you get that question like from
All the time,
yeah,
all the time.
and what you just heard here is they are so excited to get books. They love technology, of course, but I feel like books are a bit of like the lost toy, right? And so getting them and being able to take them is really powerful, and I think we'll see more of that. Um, I want to ask our libraries real quick before we move on to the next question. In that process, are we promoting getting library cards? And is that an easy process for families? And how does that work?
For Cleveland Public Library, yeah, I mean, for us, we have a partnership with Cleveland Metropolitan School District where every single scholar automatically has a library card, which is nice. Now, do they know that? Not everyone. Do all families know that? Not all. And so I think that's the biggest push is making sure that our educators, now our library media specialist, which Miss Rhonda McBride is, and I know she knows firsthand like the partnership that we have. We have a strong partnership with our library media specialist, where we have done our finding some reading conferences together and all these other things, but really pushing forward that word of, every scholar in CMSD has a library card. And then our goal is that our children's librarians are out in our breakthrough schools or our other charters or parochial schools, ensuring that they have library cards. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that we've done. We've also partnered with the Cleveland Browns to create a library card for young people, which has been a success. And so I think having partners help us push, the access to a library card, right? Like what does a library card give you? Because it's more than just checking out books. It allows them to go and get on the computer because they love playing games after school. It allows them to do so much. And so, yeah, I think that we're doing a great job at letting people know, but I think that there's more work that can be done.
Yeah, Katie, is there something that you guys do in particular with the connection with the cards?
Far as card outreach goes, I think one of the great connections we have is with Metro Health and getting packets to new parents so that they can sign up for their library card as they're signing up for everything else to take care of baby. So any way that we can get out into the community and just raise awareness early on, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, those are great resources. And Jacqueline, you just mentioned, all of the other things that go on at a library. And that's kind of what we're leading to. They're community hubs with digital media and programming and wraparound services. What are being most utilized right now? Katie, you can start us off with that in terms of what Cuyahoga County offers outside of just book access.
Oh boy, what don't we offer? So we have 27 branches that serve 47 unique communities, and it's really important that we're responsive to the needs of each of those communities. So we hold thousands of programs every year, ones that address childhood literacy, family engagement, after school and summertime programming for students, English for speakers of other languages, citizenship classes, GED prep classes, we have workforce programs for people who are looking to make a career change or re-enter the workforce, maker spaces for hobbyists and for entrepreneurs. And we also provide access to the internet as well as tech training and other online resources. And we even have social workers that can help connect people to social services in the community. And as a result of that, we're seeing nearly 4 million visitors every year that are attending programs and utilizing our services. And we're circulating our materials more than 11 million times. So we're seeing a lot of people coming into the library for these services, but also a lot of circulation of not just books, but streaming and magazines and audiobooks and things like that. It really tells a story of how people are using not just the materials that you can find there, but the services and programs as well.
And one note on the Road to Reading van, Jacqueline, I don't think we mentioned it. It does focus on the early childhood. What are the ages that one serves?
Yeah, so they would be 0 to 5, but they're going up to like even third, fourth grade. It depends on the need that the family has or the school when they request. And that was through the Ohio Department of Education to support early childhood. And as we know, early childhood in the state of Ohio is K through fifth. So,
Yes.
but they're helping on the early end, but also up to that grade as well.
Yes. And so it's really great that and to comment back again on that first question, the programs that everybody seemed to like the most were the ones that met the families where they're at, that we can come to them. So that's just something really neat to note, but that these other resources, Jacqueline, you want to talk about those at CPL, that once you're at a library, there's so much to access.
Yeah, I think similar to Cuyahoga County, I think, the great thing about CPL and Cuyahoga County, we're great partners. And so we have some of the same things. The only thing is, we are really grounded in the inner city, right? And so when you're in the inner city, we have to ensure, number one, that we partner with the food bank, right? So Kids Cafe is served every single day after school, Monday through Friday. And it's so unique because there are different times. Because all of our schools, especially our schools that are near our libraries, we want to ensure that our kids cafe is at the time that scholars get out of school, right? And so they can come and participate in after school programs, but also have a meal. Makerspace and all of those things. We have our main library downtown, which is a beautiful library. I'm sure you all have been. If you haven't, I would definitely go. We have a huge studio 525 for young people to go and game after school. The downtown library after school serves a lot of high schoolers because they're coming from West Side or coming from more so coming from West Side to get to the East Side to go back home. And this is a stop that they have. And so our youth services department is intentional about the ways that we wrap around them. We just had this week a program called Rise Within, where we're working with a young woman called Coach Ty. And, I walked into the room yesterday and she was teaching them about how would you respond if this happened? Right. And then a lot of kids like, well, I'm gonna crash out, well, I'm gonna hit them, I'm gonna do this. And we're talking about the consequences that come with your actions and your emotions, right? And so we understand that we got to wrap around our young people in a different kind of way, and make sure that we not only not meet them where they are as far as like going to where they are, but making sure that when they come, they are their most authentic selves. They can operate in the ways that they need to operate. Libraries are not quiet. If you know anything about CPL, we call it Club CPL because it's always a DJ, it's always something. It's all like right now we have Girl Power happening downtown where there's over 600 young girls, and we partner with PNC to ensure that happens where they're learning about entrepreneurship. We have an author, national author here right now. We have a skating rink in Brett Memorial Hall, which is 100 years old, whereas young people are now skating because we know that that is the way we meet them and get them. And we're really excited about that. And so I think our programs are changing in a way, but our families and our children are really, really enjoying it. And we're seeing that in our numbers of scholars coming back. And that's what's fun.
That is great. I had chills when you said 600 girls, like in this
Mhm.
partnerships. And I just keep picturing this web of partners in Cleveland. We are so blessed to be here and have partners like PNC and like the Cavs and the state in making this happen. And we know it's not always perfect, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges. But before we do that, Rhonda, you want to talk a little bit about the school libraries and kind of how those are being supported or changed and what's going on with our schools.
Yeah, we've had a huge transition. Probably, I think we're at the fourth year of the transition. Most of my career, I was a special. Like kids were scheduled to come to library every Monday at 10 o'clock, and the whole school was scheduled that way. So my team would have been like the art teacher, the PE teacher.
Mhm.
So 4 years ago, they spread us out. We are now 19 of us cover all the buildings. So we're at 4 to 5 buildings each. In theory, I'm missing a coordinator at George Washington Carver, but there's a paraprofessional that's full time in the building so that books are accessible all week long. So it does give us more reach. There's one of us in every building, but we're only there a day or two a week. So there's pros and cons to it. I said we have a wider reach, but it takes longer to build the relationships and to get into a building. And then it kind of then reflects like it's not part of the teacher's schedule. So we do have to depend on engagement, like in recruiting and getting people to show up because they're not required to.
Yeah. And how do you see that? Is that is that engagement going well? Are there things that we could do better?
It goes well. I have a full schedule at my I have three elementary schools. The high school's a little tougher sell. Um, and it's the teachers that want to come show up and they're consistent and the kids check out a ton of books. And then the others you have to go like, you can fit it in, it'll work. And
Yeah.
convincing them that they have the time to do it and it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, Cleveland has a lot to be proud of, and I think we just did some bragging about these wonderful programs and the way, just making sure that kids have access to books in the schools, whether it's through the Road to Reading van or the book bus. But what would you say we could be doing differently with the urgency of the literacy challenges that we're seeing? What would make the biggest difference in literacy outcomes, do you think? I mean, engagement, I've heard that word a few times, but where are there gaps and what do we need to do differently if out of your expertise? And with that one, we can start with you, Rhonda.
I mean, the achievement gaps have been widely publicized. So I was kind of leaning more into like the engagement gaps. When I have second and third grade, like they want to be here. Fourth grade still, but like we hit middle school and I just lose them. Like, and same kids that were, mad that they can only get two or three books or just not showing up. So I think the engagement, losing that middle school or right before middle school engagement is my biggest challenge. And I think having the books they want is the biggest thing. If I could, an eighth grader will still pick Dog Man off the shelf if it's available and not have a problem with reading it and be excited about it. So it's like keeping those on the shelf because they're not engaged and they don't practice and then they're not practicing so they're not engaged, so it's like an endless like circle.
Yeah, I have four boys at home and one's in middle school, and I can say that's where I saw reading change
Mhm.
for kids in general. So I think that's a really cool thing that Cleveland can kind of focus on is keeping those middle schoolers engaged. Jacqueline and Walter, what would you say?
I think one thing that we're doing is just with like relationship building, with families and connecting them, to the resources. For Jacqueline, in our department, it's all about like being like transformational in the work that we do. And so, we're really encouraged to like, hey, get out there, build relationships, learn people's names, get to know them because that's going to be the way that we're able to like engage them and connect them and encourage them to reading. So, it's one of those where like we try not to sit back and wait for somebody to come into the library or say, if they look interested in a book, well, can I help you with something? Or we have kids coming into family space. It's one of those that, oh, do you have a library card? Do you want a library card? Do you know how to get one? We're going to walk them up to the circulation desk, get them the paperwork, they'll get it filled out. Hey, what are you all reading? And things like that. We just concluded our winter reading challenge. We're preparing for our summer reading challenge. And so we've seen, this rise in kids like, oh, the kids are coming in, setting goals. I'm trying to read. I want to read 10 books today. I want to read 15 books today. So, we're just really trying to push in that area of really connecting to people and then, like leveraging the relationships that we build with kids and with families to then really encourage the reading because we know just how important literacy is.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I was a Pizza Hut book it kid. I booked it all the time, right? Those challenges, I always had a win. Um, but and those things, what we tend to find in Cleveland, right, is we can reach the ones that want it and that are engaged, and then we'll always have some that, you know, aren't as much. And so that's some place where the Kids Book Bank, in terms of our focus, and I know, Dolly Parton Imagination Library and so many other literacy partners try to get to all the families. And I can't, I'm one of those people like, I'll leave the sheep to go find that one family that wants it and doesn't know where to get it. So we're excited about all of these kinds of ways in which we can partner and challenges and Mahogany in our outreach can be helping to bridge those gaps as well. And I think if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll see the needle move. Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about any of the challenges that you guys are facing?
Yeah, I think that we have a lot more success when we're talking about proactive programming versus reactive. However, a lot of times when people are coming to use our services, it's when they're seeing an issue. So we have really good success with our grade level reading programs, 1, 2, 3 Read and 1, 2, 3 Boost. But those are referrals that we get from the schools that we partner with. Um, we also have family engagement programs to help parents learn how to be their kids' first teacher and how they can build confidence in working with their child and also bringing them into the library to use the resources there. So with our baby club, preschool club, and kindergarten club, we're working toward getting people in the library early, engaging with the resources, connecting with their community, and connecting with other parents as well. And we see a lot more success in those areas when we're able to do a kind of early intervention. But again, it is kind of reliant on the people who come into the library, and it's getting them to be comfortable coming into this space.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about outside of the library system, meaningful ways that we can partner libraries and families. And I would love I would love our guests too to put in the chat, like, what are some creative things that have really worked to bring new people to the library? And what, like, is there a way to do more of that? What's been the most successful or creative way to engage and keep those kids reading? And I think we know that the early childhood kind of works and that the kids are excited. So maybe even for this conversation, focusing on what has worked in the middle school and high school arena. I love Club CPL. I think that's great. That was one of the reasons I couldn't go to the library because I'm not quiet.
Mhm.
And I don't stop talking when the teacher tells me to. So, what are some ways that we can help support those middle school and high school students in their literacy path? And then also the parents. I love that you talk about family engagement and parents as first teachers, the GED and things like that. This is great to know and to share that there are those resources for adult literacy. Are they being used, and how could we help with that as well? So we'll end on kind of those notes of how are we going to, what can we do to support our libraries?
I think just any opportunity to remind people that we're here. There is a librarian connected to every CMSD building, even if they're only there 1 day a week. So any suggestions or opportunities to volunteer that pop up are greatly appreciated. And then just supporting like libraries in general. I personally have never been attacked by what's on my shelf for what's on my shelves or what's being circulated, but I know it's out there. So just like let calmer heads prevail and speak up when necessary. And then I think volunteering, I think it's probably trickier in the schools because every principal has different like, vibes and who they want in their buildings. But any opportunity that does come up to help out is appreciated. I know two of my coordinators planned career days and getting people to come in and talk. If a career day is ever offered to you, everybody would appreciate this time to speak. And that's it. I think just awareness that we're here and maybe suggesting it as a resources when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, I love that. The volunteer piece, Jacqueline, we were just talking about that as well. And I think that's something that Cleveland is also very good at. We have so many wonderful donors and supporters and people who want to volunteer. And I think that if we could coordinate those literacy efforts collectively and let people know that they exist, we'd get more people doing a story time or doing a career day and sharing their knowledge. Katie, you want to talk a little bit about what you would like us to do to support you?
I think the things you're doing in reaching out to your community partners like this are very helpful because a lot of it is just knowing the resources that are available and the organizations that you can connect people with and being ready to make those connections when you're interacting with people. So the more you know, the more you can help. Um,
That
and
sounds like
I
a
think,
commercial.
yeah, the more you know. Um, and we hear from branch staff quite often, there'll be someone will story time and they'll as they're chatting with the parents they'll discover um, So sometimes parents will bring their kids in for a program and they'll chat with one of our branch staff and they'll uncover another issue that they're having, whether it's connecting with a social service or if it's a class that they need to take, and they'll be able to connect them with those resources. So just being aware of what's out there and striking up those conversations and being able to offer your assistance.
That's great. Walter, Jacqueline?
I'll let Walter start if he wants to.
The access and the awareness, everybody's kind of echoed it. I mean, can't tell you how many times people do come into our programs and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I had no idea, that this existed." And then, once they come, "Oh, this is really good. Like, you all do this. I can have this. I can access this. I learned so much." So, the access, the awareness is huge. And for us, connecting our families to Kids Book Bank, and then, for families that you all, interact with, connecting them to the library as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, before we open it up, I won't be shy to say that advocacy and support of our libraries, making sure that they're well supported, not just with engagement, but with funding and support, and making sure that our government supports them, that they can continue to do what they're doing, and that literacy remains top of mind for people. It's one of those things that's just kind of assumed happens, I think. And our literacy rates here in Cleveland, we want them to reflect all of these wonderful resources, and there is that disconnect. So it's on all of us to make sure that we connect those two things and see that needle move on our literacy. And I will turn it over to Leslie to walk us through any questions in the chat.
In addition to kind of awareness and everybody knowing about the libraries, for each of you, kind of what is a concrete thing that you would love for the group here and others to do? Do you want them to come into your library, volunteer at your library, post about your library? What is kind of the best thing you would want from this group taking out of this?
I'm not someone who owns a library or like works at a library, but I was recently in high school. I've had dyslexia and dysgraphia for a while, and one thing that's really helped me like go to libraries, and one thing that I've really liked is audiobooks. So like if you can like acquire more audiobooks, I think that could bring students in, and I think that would be like really helpful because like those are really helpful resources and something that I always look for when I'm like trying to get a book um for like an in-class assignment. So that could be something.
I love that, Sebastian. Thank you for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Sebastian. Currently going to Case Western. I'm doing a class about teaching or about children's literature in Cleveland.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that input. I love audiobooks. Love audiobooks. Anybody else want to jump in? Any questions or thoughts, or if any of our guests wanted to share other ways you want people to get involved? I know Rhonda had shared, if you get asked to come do career day, that's always great. Or if you have time to volunteer at one of the libraries.
Yeah, I think just sharing the information that you see, following us on social media and signing up for our newsletter. Like, you're going to see all of the great, it's so much. Sometimes it's like, wow, like this, all they do is events. And sometimes it feels like that, but these events are what makes us a destination. Like, we want people to choose us. They have a choice. They don't have to come to our library. I mean, CCPL is not too far, you know. Shaker isn't far. Cleveland Heights isn't too far. Like, those library systems aren't far. So it's a choice and we want them to go to all, it's not but we want our families, especially in Cleveland, to know that we, want to wrap around them and uplift them. And so if you could share what you see and what you hear, especially to your neighbors, your church members, or whoever, and let them know everything is free. And we always feed families too. That's what I love about us. Like we always, everything we do, our families are eating, our families are, just in fellowship with one another. And it's not because we feel like we have to feed them because they don't have it. No, but it's a way to just make people, to bring a network together and bring community about. And so that's our goal is that, that families leave knowing other families and getting to know other people, and being able to connect. And so we want to create spaces for that. So just sharing, please share what we have. Walter and his team lead amazing pre-kindergarten work. And we know our babies aren't ready to go into kindergarten, a lot of them.
Mhm.
And, we want them to be a part of these things and take the time out. And so I think having encouragement through you all sharing with your networks, I think could help maybe bring more people to come and be a part of the work.
Yeah, I love that. And we've used the library systems. You have space, you have office space, you have
Yes.
technology. Our businesses can use it for meetings.
Yes.
I think that's another takeaway is figure out what day each month you're going to go visit your own library and invite someone
Mhm.
to join you there, even if it's just for an experience.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just echo all of these sentiments. Share, 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 and also come in and see what we're doing and what you can tell your friends and family about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think this is great. Every time we have one of these calls, which is the first or the second Thursday of each month, I get really excited about all the things that we just talked about with that group. But then there's an action step, just like Leslie was saying, it's like, what can we do? And so I am going to pledge to visit those library systems on a regular basis, and we will, share about them.
We've got a question. Do libraries offer one-on-one tutoring? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Do any?
So we offer tutoring at a bunch of branches through CSU and through America Reads, I believe. And so, yeah, I mean, if there's only one scholar there, then yes, you definitely can get the one-on-one tutoring. But I think they sometimes do group tutoring as well for our young people. But I know they are trying to work one-on-one with our young people, and they're at locations that see a lot of young people after school. So like our Huff campus, our Rice campus, our Mount Pleasant campus, our, Carnegie West, like those big campuses to see a lot of young people. That's where we host tutoring.
We also have after school tutoring in 13 of our branches at our student success centers. You can find them on our website. And those are to help kids with their homework and to work on skill comprehension. And it's for kids in kindergarten through 8th grade.
Thank you all for joining us. We're so glad that you took some time to be with us, and thank you for sharing your questions and your thoughts. And to our partners, thank you all for bringing all of this great information to folks. We appreciate so much what you do, and we appreciate your partnership with us as we all work together to get books to kids, get them reading. Our next Lunch and Learn, our next Zoom meeting like this is May.
14th.
What is it?
The 14th?
Thank you, the 14th. And Natalie, do we know yet who will be joining us that month?
Yes, actually, we will be looking at our corporate partnerships. So we'll have some examples of how corporations are supporting literacy and their efforts. So if you're on the call and you want to highlight something in that meeting or in a future meeting, let us know that. And also, if you need free books, contact Mahogany here at the book bank, and she will let you know how to get those books so that you can distribute them to families.
And then in addition to this monthly Zoom call, Lunch and Learn, we also have a monthly Books and Brunch, which is the last Thursday of the month. So our next one is April 30th, and you are all invited to bring someone with you, tell someone about it. These are in-person events at our warehouse, a great option for folks that haven't come to see us before or might want to get involved by volunteering or, getting books from us or just learning more about us. And you can find all of that information on our website.